Hi, it's the end of September. Hasn't the year gone so quickly? I can't believe that we've only got under 3 months before Christmas. Anyway, end of September, and I've got 6 books to talk to you about. I read 6 in the second half of September, which means I've read 12 in September, which is not bad. I started off with This Other Eden by Paul Harding, long-listed and now shortlisted for the Booker Prize. This one was a book that made me angry. It's based on, it's a sort of almost a fictional version of what happened in Malaga, which is an island off Maine, in 1112, when the little community there was expelled. Here we've got Apple Island, where there's a small community, all descendants of Benjamin and Patience Honey, who were the first settlers there. And over time, people have sort of gone there to escape, I suppose. And it's a community that is interracial. As it says in the book, there's all colours. And there's also interbreeding. And this is the reason that the authorities decide that this area needs clearing for health and humanity. That was the reason they give. And it is a story that made me very, very angry, as this community is got rid of. The next one was a book I listened to on Audible, and it was Michelle Zauner's Crying in Mart. And this is her memoir, a very personal memoir. She's a Korean American, and she lost her mother when she was 23. And her relationship with her mother growing up, it was very angry at times. She wasn't a model daughter. But when her mother became ill with cancer, then she moved back home to reconnect with her mother. And she talks about her troubled childhood. She talks about her teenage years. She talks about her desire when she was younger to be American, but how that changed when her mother was ill, and how she wanted to recapture or regain her Korean heritage. It's full of food, because she cooks these dishes that spark memories for her and her mother. It's a book that made me remember my own mother and my own mother's death, which must be a theme this second half of the month, because the last book I talked to also did that. So that was Crying in the Mart, a very personal memoir that is a very, at times, quite emotional read. Then I moved on to another from the book long list. This one didn't make the shortlist. I thought it would do. I thought this was, although it wasn't in my top 6, I thought that this would have made it in. It's we've got Lee. She is a marine biologist, and she's studying unicellular algae, which is, it's almost supposed to be the creation of life. She's developing it as a food source. She goes on a trip, on an expedition, to look at a deep sea vent that they found, and then she gets called to join a secret space mission, and this is where she is asked to develop the algae, because they need food sustenance for a long space journey. It's full of science. We've got marine exploration, we've got space travel, full of science. We've got Lee. We've also got Lee's sister Helena and her mother Fenna in a very, very small. They don't feature very heavily in the book. It's mainly Lee. It's very slow paced, and my issue with this was that I didn't connect with Lee. I found her to be very two-dimensional. I didn't feel that there was enough character development for me. That was my problem with the book. But the writing, I didn't mind about the science. The parts in space were very good. The beautiful writing when it comes to the depth going down towards the ocean. You've got darkness and light, and you've got the ideas of ascension in here as well. So, yeah, I was surprised that didn't make the shortlist. Then I read Annette Galliard that comes out on the 19th of October, and it's Julia by Sandra Newman. And this is 1984 with a feminist perspective. This is Julia's story. All we know of Julia from the original 1984 is that Winston looked at her with lust and rage, and he betrayed her in room 101. That's all we really know about Julia. We don't get that much of her, but here we have Julia's story. We see Julia before she entered the ministry. We see Julia in the ministry. The whole meeting with Winston is gone into in lots of detail, which is, I enjoyed that bit. And they start their affair, and the arrests, room 101, the torture, so graphic. But it was an integral part of the story. It is really, really good, that part. And then, which you don't get in 1984, 1984 ends with Winston and Juliet being released and reintegrated. Then here you get what happens next to Julia. The ending, I thought the ending was really clever. I thought that was excellent. My issue was this, there's some graphic sex in there, and I didn't think it needed it. I'm not prudish. In some books it works, but I didn't feel that it worked in this one. The graphic violence I had no problem with, but I just didn't like the graphic sex in it. I didn't think it fitted. Then I finished the Bookers, so I've gone on to YA, just as a bit of a change. And I picked up this one in the charity shop, We Will Eyes by E. Lockhart. And there was so much hype about this a long time ago. And I thought, well, okay, I'll give it a go. I'm not going to say too much about it because there is a twist, and you don't need to know the twist when you go into it because it would spoil it if you did. You've got Cadence, who's a teenager. She and her family, she and her mother, every summer they go to Beechwood Island, which is her grandfather's place, with her two aunts and various cousins. Her grandfather has his huge place on Beechwood Island. He's built huge places for each of his three daughters. He's rich and he's manipulative. And the three, Cadence and her two eldest cousins, Johnny and Mirren, and Johnny's best friend, Gat, they band together every summer because they are older than the littles. And they call themselves the Liars. And in summer 15, when she's 15, there's an accident. And what happens causes her memory to go. She loses everything about summer 15. And this book, we're in summer 17. She's returned to the island, and she finds no one will talk to her. No one will tell her what happened in summer 15. And I will leave it there, because you don't need to know any more until you read it. And then the last one I read. A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. I've read Patrick Ness before. I've read his Chaos Walking trilogy, and there's another one I've read, I think it's Now Then, something like that. Oh, I've got the title wrong, and I do like him as a YA writer. And I had heard that this one is emotional, and it broke me. I just sat there sobbing as I was reading it, because it is so personal. Well, I found it so personal. Connor's 13 and his mum's dying, and he has these nightmares every night, and then a monster calls. And is the monster there to harm him or to heal him? Because the monster seems to be there when he needs him. But Connor is lonely, he's isolated, and he's got this desire to be punished. He wants so badly to be punished. And I adored it. It made me think of my own mother's death and sitting by her bedside and those memories. And Connor talks about being isolated, and as a boy at school, he found that people knew about his mother, but they didn't know what to say to him. How can you talk to someone whose mother's dying? So they didn't say anything. They didn't talk to him, and so isolated, alone. And this broke me. It really did break me. So those were the 6 books I read this half of September. As I said, I read 6 the first half. So my book of the month, it is tempting to use this one as my book of the month, because it just left me a little sobbing mess. It is tempting to use this as my book of the month, but I'm going to go with all the bird hearts. So all the bird hearts, all the little bird hearts, all the little bird hearts by Victoria Lloyd Barlow, because I adored the character of Sunday, and I wish that had made it to the shortlist, because it needed to be on the shortlist. So yeah, it is very tempting to have this as my book of the month, but is it fair to make a book of the month the book that makes you cry? I don't know. It was a toss-up between this and All the Little Bird Hearts, but I'm going to go with All the Little Bird Hearts and just keep this one as a secret guilty pleasure. So that's me finished for this month. We'll see what October brings. So happy reading. Take care.